Hello everyone. Gonna actually do some painting tonight. Whoa, sorry. There we go. So we're going to be working on this little elf bust from Mindworks today. I've just given him a quick Chaos Black spray and a Wraithbone Zenithal over the top. And just getting the palette ready to go. So, going around the palette. Oh, what's going on here? We got some scale 75 black. Oh, let's get that in focus. We got these guys, Raw Umber, Burnt Umber from Joe Sonia. Nice because you always use a ton of them and they come in a huge tube. Chimera Violet. Up in the corner, I like to keep a bit of just neutral grey. I don't actually tend to use this a lot, but I like having something on the palette that's sort of halfway up and down the value scale. So this is theoretically halfway between black and white. We got a bit of phthalo blue, green shade and magenta. Toluidine red. This Kartachi skin color mix from Chimera, and then some cold and warm yellow and white. And then we're going to give it a go, see how we go. So I've got a reference image I'm working off of, see if I can bring it up to show you guys, just so you can have a bit of a look. So taking my let's see. Does that come up? We got a little reference photo of the elf himself that I've taken in like the lighting condition I'm going to be going for. You can sort of see I've done a little bit of the Zenithal spray just to match roughly this, but it'll be mostly painted over. It's just kind of a guide to get you started. Same kind of angle when he's been black primed. I like to do a reference photo. Hey Inferno. I like to do a reference photo when the model's unprimed, and then another one when it's primed. Meetup was great. So today was the Sydney Display Painters Guild meetup, where a bunch of painters in Sydney get to go hang out, catch up, and look at everyone's models. It was great. It was good times. I haven't painted anything in a while, so hopefully easing myself back in with this one a little bit. So we got our main reference photo. And then our primed reference photo. This is all good to give you like some spots that the specular highlights are going to sort of pop up. And then I'm going to try and roughly make him look like these kinds of tones. I think the black shirt, this whitish hair, and sort of these light warmish skin tones. We'll see how we go. Yeah, it would be good to get you down, Ellison. I think you should definitely try and rock up when you get a chance. It'd be fun. Get to meet everyone, you know, and put some faces to names. Hey, Craig Zog, Melbourne meetup. How was the Melbourne meetup? Good? Oh, rough. Hopefully you're not out of commission for too long. Alright, so what I'll do to start myself out is I'll just mix up like a rough sort of light to dark skin tone. So we get a nice warm sort of reddish brown shadow tone. I might actually switch my brushes because, yeah, that's good. At least you get a few days off work, even if it's not ideal circumstances, hey? Oh, we're out of focus again. Probably shouldn't have my like cup on the other side of this. Maybe I'll move that and see if that helps me out at all. Ooh. Maybe. We'll see how we go. Melbourne was good. 20 people. Yeah, the Sydney meeting was really busy today, actually. Like, I think it's that first meeting after Crimson Brush. Like, we always tend to get a fair few people. It was pretty busy. We had Liam doing his little demonstration. I think A lot of people wanted to come and see that, which was pretty cool. 30 is heaps, yeah. We haven't had, I think, that many people at one of the Sydney meets in quite a while. At least that I can remember. So, man, hopefully this stops being so ridiculous. Let's see. Sorry about this. I'll try and have this palette camera sorted. It's like a webcam, so I can't really control the focus on it. At least not in any way I know how to do. But we'll see how we go. I don't know if my stream's made too much of a difference. Okay, there we go. Although, like, the light on there is not really helping the view of the color, is it? Definitely something to change for next time. So this down in the bottom left is just really like a sort of warmish brown tone up the top, and then down the bottom it's sort of like a cooler sort of more purplish brown that I'll use for the shadows of the model. Outrageous, exactly. It's this from the signature line, this Cartacci skin tone. I like it just because it's, you know, it's pretty heavily pigmented, but it just means I don't have to, I can start with something. So I'll still mix in a bunch of color to it. So right now that is what I will do. So I'll warm it with some of this yellow, and then I'll get a few little stages with this white. Outrageous. Sorry, Joe. What are you using as your base skin tones on your orc that you're painting, the orange one? So the idea is just to get a little string of light to sort of mid-tone that I'll use here. For the model, I probably won't go like as bright as I'll go eventually. But just something to start with. To be honest, I'm just going to, I don't know how far I'll get on this model. I'll just start sort of doing some rough sketching and sort of see how far we get. So literally just mixing in some of this warm yellow and white into the Cartacci base skin tone. All mixes from Chimera. Nice. Jared, hey, how are you? Good to see you today as well. Big beige red appreciator, hey. I don't know beige red. Who makes beige red? Alright, I think this might be a little too yellow, so I'll get a little bit of red in. And to be honest, like, I'm not really aiming for anything super specific here. Really just something light and dark. And I'll work out the colors for everything properly a little later. Or as I go, I guess. Vallejo and AK, hey. I don't use a lot of AK. I just bought a bunch, so I'm keen to try them out. I'll do it, I don't know, sometime soon. Maybe on like a, you know, a little project like this one. Seamus, I even took my paints to the meet today. Didn't use them, but someone did. Yeah, I didn't even make a pretense of bringing anything to paint to the meetup today. I just went straight with models to talk about. I knew I wouldn't paint anything. Alrighty. So I think we're just about ready to do something. Here we go. Let's see. Can we get him in focus? This guy hates buying hobby stuff. Had to show off Mama Noma. Exactly. Brought it and Vi out. The people need to see the models, don't they? In case someone hadn't seen her. Exactly. The people need to see it. So, Essentially what I'm going to do is just, block in a bunch of color around the face. I'm not really aiming for anything too crazy. We're just going to sort of see how we go. Start with a bit of this shadow tone, and I'm just going to block in like where my cast shadows are going to be. Let me know if this isn't coming up on camera super well, because I've not actually had a chance to practice painting on the camera at all. So if it's not showing up super well, please let me know. Looks good, thank you. So just straight darkest tone where our darks are going to be. So up in his little eyelids and stuff. Around the hair. I'll try and keep the hair quite a light color. I have no idea how that'll look. I've never really painted like really light hair. I've painted lots of like blonde models and some other light colors hair, but this is like, I think will be almost white by the end of it, to be totally honest. So again, not trying to be particularly neat or anything, just slapping some color around. I'm not really sure how I want to do these all this cloth. So this is a Raphael 8404 Ellison, just size 2. This is pretty much the only type of brush I use these days. They're really good. The only problem is they can lose their tip sometimes. I tend to churn through them. They're not ultra expensive. They're like a good replacement. I used to use like only the Winsor & Newton Series 7 brushes, but they're just really expensive unless you can get yourself a hookup that'll ship them in from the UK, where they're like $20 a brush. Here they're like 60. These are sort of halfway between, and I like them. They seem to be pretty similar, so they tend to do all right. So in the spot that's between his lips, I'm just going to mix up a slightly more reddish tone to just line in little shadow. Same with under the eyes. Like I like using like a really red brown to do the under the eyelids. But yeah, I've had a few people tell me, like, give me some brush recommendations lately that I've been wanting to try out. Like, the Rosemary & Co. Series 8. I've only used the 33s, to be totally honest. And I really like them. They're just like, they're not as, can we see the brush here? They're not as fat. Like, I got a Rosemary & Co. one here for the 33. I mean, it's a size 1. Where are we? Do we have one here? Here we go. Like, there's a size 1 compared to a 2. So obviously the 2 is going to be longer and bigger, but these they're just so thin that I find them a little bit too thin. But good to switch to with detail stuff. Yeah, I saw these avant-garde ones advertised. I'll have to try the size 8. I do like the Rosemary & Co. ones. Like, they're so cheap that like you can just kind of slap them around and you don't have to worry too much about whether you're damaging them, because they're like $10 a brush or something. And they are really good quality. They're just the 33s that I've been using are a touch too thin. So I'll definitely have to try these Series 8 if they're a bit fatter, and give them a go. And then with the avant-garde ones, I've been hearing quite a lot of people recommend them, so I might back that Kickstarter. They're a lot cheaper than I thought. When I first read the Kickstarter, I thought they were way more expensive than they actually were. I think I just misread the prices for everything. Artist Opus I do like as well. I got one here also. Like, this is a size 2 in comparison. Can we see that okay? So again, like, they're both a size 2, right? And like, you can see how much fatter the Raphael is. Like, it's twice the size. They're basically, as Craigzog said, they're a bit pricier. I do like them. They do tend to run smaller, like Joe's saying, and so like because of that, like you might have to size up one or two. I should probably try like a few size 3s or something, and just see what they're like. So I'm just switching to like a sort of intermediate tone to just start blocking in a little bit of color. Not too much. It's pretty transparent at the moment. I might switch it up in a sec. Yeah, but I do want to try the avant-garde ones. I should back it and give them a go, and I should also try. I should try the Rosemary & Co ones. To be honest, I've heard really good things about them. Which ones did I just say? I should try the avant-garde ones. I think I'll back them. And yeah, I think Seamus, you've mentioned those size or series 8 before to me, maybe. I can't remember. So I should give them a go. So shadows, basically, like that's going to be the main shadows to his face, right? A few other little things, but we'll iterate on them in a little bit. I don't particularly think of myself as a very good sketcher of paint, but I'm trying to learn it a little more. Hopefully we'll get ourselves to a relatively successful spot by the end of the session. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, a while ago I remember buying a fair few Artis Opus brushes, and I like them, but these have sort of stayed the go-to for a while, to be honest. These Raphael ones for quite a while, basically for the back half, all of last year, I think. I'm sure there'll be like I don't know, people who know what they're doing with their paint sketching that are like, what the hell are you doing right now? But we'll see how it comes together. Right, Zog, having tried 4 to 5 different rosemary shapes, the size 8 is definitely your favourite. Yeah, I'll give them a go. Are they any more expensive than the 33s? Sorry guys, just going to bring up a different image in my references. Here we go. Much better. Okay. So right now I'm just, again, trying to start adding some colour to his face, but it's mostly really just light and dark. Little bit of colour, but not a huge amount. I'll start with trying to make a slightly more reddish tone that I can just slap on. Maybe a little bit under the cheek and a little bit in his lip. Yeah. About the same, $15 each. Yeah, cool. Nice. But you reckon they're a fair bit fatter, so yeah, definitely I'll have to give them a go, I think. Use some of this sort of more reddish skin tone to just get some colour on his ears. Anyone else doing any painting at the moment? Or are we just sitting and watching this amazing high quality content? Alrighty. So I'll try and mix up some real super bright-ish highlight colour the end here, and just start blocking in some of the lightest points. Definitely not playing Marvel Rivals. You're doing too much gaming, Seamus. So I think we want to like have the main spots where the light is hitting sort of pretty visible on his face. Jared taking photos of models. Cool. What are you taking photos of? Of your like a mecha guy that you brought to the meetup today, or just a bunch of stuff? In here, on the top of these eyebrows. And here. Haven't unpacked all your kit from today. Yeah, neither have I actually. I just kind of like, I didn't get home after the meet until about 6 o'clock. And I basically just had to prep. I tried to prepare for the stream because even though I knew I was doing something tonight, I hadn't really prepared anything in advance because I was at the meeting all day. Warcry Elves. It's looking good already. Thanks, Vols. That's my mum in the chat, giving me some encouragement. Warcry Elves, Jared. Which ones are the new ones? The Lumineth ones? So just trying to outline, again, some of these spots. Hopefully, you know, if you really defocus, it looks like something. I really like those Lumineth Warcry Elves. I bought, I think, 2 boxes of them that I should do at some stage. It'd be like a good, like little squad or something. Is it better if I zoom in for you guys? Is that better, or do we prefer the wider view? What do we reckon? I'll try and keep this in shot. I don't know if I'll do quite as good a job, but I'll give it a go. Go the zoom. Fair enough. All right. How you doing, Sean? Good. This is looking very yellow. Hopefully it's not too yellow, but again, we can sort of change the color later on. I'm just trying to get something pretty rough in place, I guess. Yeah, all good. Beware the jaundice. Exactly. We don't want the jaundice. That's all right. He's going to be a pretty sunlit guy, I think. I don't know. I think these are probably a touch warm, but again, I've been really enjoying painting stuff that like looks like it's lit by the sun. That's kind of been what I've been enjoying doing lately. So the cast shadow, warm light. Bit of a slog, but once you're past that halfway point of a project, it's downhill. Yeah, totally. Well, that's good. Thomas Winslow, not yellow at all, looks golden now. Does it? Well, that's good. I know you are the expert on it. Shadows could use some purple. Fair enough. Alright, how are we looking? I think I'm going to go even brighter here, just so I've got more of a little guide. Sort of give him a little bit of a frown, I think. I don't. I have not always worked like that. I have worked like this since you taught me how to do it, Jordan. So I try to get a bit more color in here usually, but to be honest, normally I feel like I know what I'm doing a little more. I feel like this is just going to be pretty casual. See where it ends up. I'm not too worried how this thing is going to turn out. So we'll see how we go. What do we think? Is it starting to look like a person? I guess a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Of this brown and our little in between kind of tone. I also tend to, when I'm trying to do these like sunlit guys, like to have a bit of this sort of just pure warm yellow and red in a sort of very vibrant orange that I like to use in between the light and dark, to try and represent like how your skin is a little bit translucent and tends to go a little sort of reddish when it's, you know, on the edge of light, you know, like, you know, you shine a torch through your fingers or whatever and they go super red like that, but a little more subtle. Hopefully it ends up, it's pretty intense at the moment, as you can see, but hopefully by the end it'll look normal. We'll see. I'd be happy enough to call that finished and move on to the next part of the model. To be honest, it won't be long until I start trying to do other parts of the model, because I find like I'm not the best visualizer, I guess. Like I tend to find it quite hard to sort of imagine how the rest of the model is going to look. I tend to need like color on the model to sort of get what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to get a little bit of color so we're just not dropping straight into like our super dark brown. So just some more of this sort of warm. We got a bit of purple in the shadow, I guess. Not a lot of purple, but a little bit. I'll worry about his eyes like much later, I think. Well, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I'm surprised. Let me know if any of this pops off camera. I'm not really paying too much attention to what it looks like in the box. So, like, well, in the box, on the screen. So please let me know if anything starts looking weird or anything like that. Great so far. That's good, because like I said, I've really not been looking at the little screen at all, to be honest. I'm just sort of hoping for the best. He's got quite a furrowed brow, doesn't it? And like I said, I'm trying to make him look a little bit like Thranduil from The Hobbit. So I have to give him like some big fat Lee Pace bushy eyebrows or something. Seamus, is this the freebie academic or the regular bust? This is indeed the free one. It's like 1/12 scale, so it's smaller. I think the one you buy from Mindworks is 1/9. It's like quite a bit. I think quite a bit bigger. It's also more detailed. Like they've kind of cut stuff off this. So on the bigger scale bust from Mindworks, it's got his arm that comes down with a sword, and then on this shoulder, it's got a bunch of spikes. Yeah. So I get a little bit of light on the other part of his ear. Just here. Wish I got the freebie, but buying 3 models to get the free one I wanted. Luckily, there's no shortage of models I'm happy to buy at any point. The drop of a hat, I'll just start stocking up. So we're going to have the rest of this ear in shadow, I think. And we'll get a little bit of red and just slap some on the inside, I think. I'm just shocked you're painting a model for once. Hey man, I did do a good job painting all the Warhammer commission models I needed to paint. They're basically done. I just have to dry brush a few bases. They're not like anything too crash hot. Here, I can show you little Space Wolf. He needs a varnish to matte him down. He's very shiny at the moment. So I have been painting some stuff, just nothing super fun like this, to be honest. So let's get him some little wrinkles under his eye here. So right now what I'm trying to do is just get the undercoat covered pretty much on every part of his face. Again, not trying to be super neat and tidy, but just not, get the values pretty rough. They're not going to be perfect. But I just want to start covering up the undercoat with face color. How has your orc been going since the last time I spoke to you, Seamus? So, since yesterday. Have you made any more progress on him? Or are you just happy to talk shit about my painting? It isn't. Fair enough. Righty, so just border in his hair a little bit. I'll probably come back to the hairline, obviously. Well, I'll come back to every part of the model, but make it a little more transparent, like how the skin to the hair changes, I guess. So ideally, I'll try and get it on camera, like the angle we're going for with the light. It's kind of like this. So we're imagining the light is basically smacking him right here, coming down his face, and sort of we're going to have a cast shadow sort of like this. Right? And then shadow. I think that's the rough idea. So it's actually quite handy looking at the camera, because the picture is a little bit bigger than the model in real life on the screen in front of me. It's probably a little too much color there, but we can change that later. Maybe I'll make him like, I don't know, have a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow, I guess. Maybe a little bit, or slightly cooler, more grayish skin, like around his mouth or something. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how we go as we go. So I think I'll pick out this like jelly bit, the top lip, this little volume here under his chin to make him look, I feel like this is one of those little spots. I don't really know very much about anatomy, but it seems like one of those little spots where if you give it a bunch of colour, he kind of looks a bit more sneery. Just under his nose here. This little line. Picking it out. It's pretty messy, obviously, as we said, but again, hopefully by the end of this we'll have something approaching a face that looks like a face. I don't know. I think it's actually looking a little bit worse now. But that's okay. We'll just fix him up. Whoa. Not worse, just different. Exactly. Sounds like a very euphemistic way to say it's looking worse. Is that in focus? Do I need a... There we go. That looks a bit better. Right? Hopefully. Alrighty. In about 20 minutes or so, we'll take a quick break to have a stretch, and also Twitch will make me take a break, but I'll keep going until then. So now I feel like at least on this light side, you know, we're sort of starting to get roughly where we want in terms of like our values sketched in roughly, very roughly, right? Light, dark, the dark side is looking a bit insane at the moment, but let's have another look at our reference picture. I mentioned earlier, for anyone who missed it, I've taken a like a reference image of this guy sort of with my torch shining in his face to give me the you know, like a bit of an outline on how I want the values to fall on him, and that's sort of what I'm working off of. I've mentioned, you know, before on one of these streams when I wasn't actually painting anything, that I tend to find it quite hard to work out where the light and dark on a model is going to go if I'm just left to my own devices. So I kind of need the photo in front of me to to work out what I'm doing. Paint's looking a little janky. Yeah, sorry about that. I did notice he had started to drift off a tiny bit. Alright. How are we going? Oops. Getting a bit of a scunge in the palette. Let's get into my paints. I really hate it. I wish we could have some kind of like dust-free environment. You know, like how they make electronics in like a room with everyone wears like those suits, like white suits, and there's no dust. That'd be amazing. So just trying to get a few little highlights on his eyelids just here. Nothing too intense. And then I think a little bit of a line just here going down. Sorry if you can't see. What do we reckon? Looking okay. And then here on his lip. I think that's roughly looking okay in terms of where our light's hitting. Probably maybe a little more going across. Actually, that is no good. Paint's getting a little thick. This is one thing I have been told by a few people, is if you're just using Chimera, which is all I really use at the moment, like it's really easy for the paint to get too thick, and I don't know if you guys will be seeing it at all, but there's just a moment or two where it was already getting a bit chunky, and I'm a pretty uncareful painter most of the time, so it's a bit easy for your paint to get out of control and get a bit blocky. It also doesn't help my palette's sort of a little further away from me than it normally is, so I'm losing track of it a little. Skill issue, indeed, of course. I would say nothing else. Absolutely a skill issue. I'm sure there's plenty of painters who are much better with these than me and can manage them a little better. So starting to zoom in a little bit and do things a touch more subtly, not incredibly so, but just a little bit. Does my face look insane? Yeah, it does, because of how much light is on it. I couldn't really work out where to put my lamp to to have it still lighting the model so I could see it while I was painting it. Alright, a little bit more on the ear now, I think. Let's get dark in here. Obviously, whenever we do ear, just mix a ton of red into your whatever skin tone you're using, and you can always sort of refine it later and make the ears look more normal, but I like probably overdoing it. Vi's face has some texture build up and it ruins the whole model, and Alexi is bad. Crimson Judges 2025. Hey, look, I didn't say it. You'll have to take that up with Dave. It was his words were it was hard to get past, a little bit hard to get past. I think something along those lines. But I'm glad he did get past it. Alright, so I'm not trying to do anything too, sorry, I think I was drifting off the camera a little bit. I'm not trying to do anything too accurate on the ear, to be honest, at the moment. I'll come back to this later. Just trying to have something pretty rough. Incredibly rough. But, you know, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it later. Maybe I'll keep painting this guy on stream till he's done. We'll see. It's a good model to get me back in the swing. Ooh, some fluff. Alright, what do we reckon? Starting to look like something, I guess. Are we in focus again? Starting to look like something. So I wanted his eyes quite shadowed. I will, when I paint him in, I'll give him like a little reflectiveness, and I'll try and have him looking a little bit over that way. So the idea, I think, is we're going to line it up like this on the plinth, but we're going to try and have him looking sort of like this a little bit, if that makes sense. A little off to the side, like he's kind of giving you the side eye a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Alright, so I think I'll start trying to do a little bit of sketching of his hair. Now, I don't really know how well I'll do this. I mean, how well I'll be able to do this, since he's got like quite a platinumy blonde looking hair color that actually, in like some of the reference photos that I've been looking at, it's actually very close to his skin tone. So I'll take some of our skin tone and some of the warm yellow and a bunch of white, and we'll just see where we end up. Maybe desaturated a touch with a bit of grey. I don't really know. This is where like my color mixing skills need a ton of work. What is this? Like, this is just a mess, isn't it? It's probably too grey. What do we think? Then shadowed. How about we just see what it looks like on the model, and then we'll reassess. Well, I'll tell you what, I got to take a break in about 10 minutes, so I'll keep going on his face, and then I'll take a break for about 5 minutes or so, and then when I come back I will do the hair. Alright, we'll do that. So we'll keep doing a bit more on his face. So what should we do next? So most of the sort of light and dark is sort of where I roughly want it to be. We'll probably have it go touch darker just here where the shadow is like most intense. I don't really know the special names for all the different types of shadows. Just that this is a cast shadow. So just trying to get a bit more red in his nose, more than we'll end up with. We'll tone it back a little bit, but just getting a little bit in the shadow and then on the little tip of his nose. I like to do a lot of just really a pretty intense like brown red in the shadow under his nose. Here and under his eyelids. There tend to be spots that are hard to see, but getting like any of these like spots where skin like really folds, like it gets really close to one another, you know, the shadows tend to get really warm. Maybe you can see that a little on camera, like look at that shadow between my thumb. It's like it's very red, you know. So we try and do something similar. See? Pretty red, but when we look at him from his main angle, it'll hopefully give us a bit of an impression of something similar, you know? Alright. So I'm starting to thin the paint a little more than I was before. It was pretty chunky before, but now I'll need to be a little more careful that I'm not just building up way too much texture on him and making it look ugly. As Seamus said, we don't want too much texture build up in the colour. Sorry, I was drifting off camera there a bit again. So much thinner paint, and we're just doing some little bits of stippling. We'll start making these transitions from colour to colour look better, you know, later. Hopefully the idea is like, you know, by the end-ish of our painting session, we'll have something where, like, you know, if we kind of just squint our eyes, it will look like a face. And then we can sort of, we can work on making it actually look like a face, you know, with the more blended skin colors and all that kind of nonsense later. Oh, you guys still seeing me? Or has my camera just exploded? Please let me know. What's going on? Painting camera exploded? Well, I do not know why that has happened. Alright. I'm fine, but model is just completely stuck. Well, that's not good. Well, let's see what's going on. Sorry about this. Again, we got some professional quality content going. Let's see if this restarts itself. Sorry, guys. I don't know why that isn't doing what it's doing. I think it might be break time, but I don't know if I'll be able to get my camera going again. Let's have a look here. Oh, I think I've worked it out. Look at that. Oh, indeed, professional quality streaming. Look at that. Just in time to keep going for 5 minutes. All right, there we go. Nice work. Nothing like a problem to make you try and have to fix it. That made no sense. Dom's Minis. Hey man, how you doing? Sorry, just trying to fix its focus again. Hopefully we're looking a little better. I feel like it's very easy for it to go out of focus, but that's alright. You guys will bear with me, won't you? Through the professional high quality streaming service. Just get a little bit more of this orange on the interior corner, I think, here. This orange here. What do we think? Yeah. What do you guys reckon? Is it starting to look a bit like a face? Tell me what we think. Not bad for however long I've been going for. Sort of 45 minutes, I guess. Thereabouts. Yeah. I think this ear is distracting you. I'll have to come back to that in a bit. So again, if we look at our light angle, the idea is our light's coming sort of in from here. Let's try and get it on camera a little bit more. In from here, so like hopefully, as you can see, like that little bit on his ear should line up roughly when his nose lines up with the cast shadow. Seamus, very face. I only know when my faces are good if you and Jordan go through first. You got to take more lessons. Where has Jordan gone? He's run away. Once we find out what name he's posting under, you know what I mean? Thanks, Sean. He'll come back with a new name, I bet. Well, maybe he won't. I don't know. He probably has other things to do with his time. This ear is crazy. It's very bit weird looking. It's kind of distracting me. So the shadow side of the nose is looking a little janky, as you can see. So I'll try and just get a little more flat so it's not as distracting. Yeah, and like I said before, I'm not the best visualizer. I was having a chat with my partner and a few other different painters and everyone, talking about like how well we can visualize like what the model's going to look like as we're going versus you know, when it's being painted, you know, can you see what the end result's going to be in your mind? Or I'm kind of like not the best at it, you know. I feel like I can do it, but it takes a lot of concentration, so I can picture it, but I have to concentrate a lot. So I need to start just putting paint on different spots on the model to try and work it out. All right, 2 minutes and we'll take a break. I have to run a commercial. I'll go grab some water, and we should all get up and move around for a minute, I guess. And then I'll be back. Let's do it now. Take a break now, and we'll say back at 9:15, 5 minutes, all right? Maybe a bit less than 5 minutes. And we're back. Good break for everyone. I hope so. So I think what I'll do is I'll try and sketch this guy until we've got some color on everything. And that's probably what I'll try and get to by the end of the session. I probably won't refine it much more than what we're looking at right now. I will just try to sort of sketch it up a bit. I'm going to try and brighten him a little bit, because I feel like it was getting a bit dark. Is that any better? Can we see him anymore? I don't know if that made any difference at all. Sorry, let's try that. How about now? Hopefully we can see him a little bit better. Can I ask a favor? Can you paint it shit as I am painting this one and don't need to cry in a fetal position anymore than I do? Well, you can be the judge of it when I'm done, I guess. And tell me if it's very bad or not bad. We'll see how we go. So I'll just try and do some rough sketching around the model for a little while longer. Oh, look. The alert thing worked. Barbecue Guru just followed. Thank you for following Barbecue Guru. Maybe I'll have to ask you for some barbecuing tips. And then I might have a quick chat about some of the models from the week that I liked and saw, as I did last week. How you doing, Barbecue Guru? Dookie Sandwich. Yo, a nice painting. Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it. How long have I been painting? I've been painting these kinds of like large-scale display models for about a bit over a year, but I've been painting miniatures in general for a lot longer. For since I was a teenager, I guess, with a pretty long break in between then and now. But I worked for Games Workshop for about 5 years, and then go back to it. Oh no, camera has exploded again. How you doing, JC? What is happening? Sorry guys. Camera's not having a good day today, I don't think. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Sorry about this. Let's see if I can get it going again. Alright. If this happens much more, it might be time to call it an early night. Hopefully not, but we'll see. It doesn't seem to be enjoying itself tonight. I think maybe it's overheating a little bit, which is not ideal. So I don't know what it's doing. Let's have a look. Alright, well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully that's the last time it does it, but something tells me we're not going too well. Alright, so I'll start throwing some colour on his hair now. So let's just bring up my nice little reference again, my screen here. And it's going to try and... This is going to be a bit of an experiment for me. I don't really know what I'm doing here. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to try and make him look a bit like Thranduil from The Hobbit. And I'm not really too sure how to paint this sort of platinum blonde kind of colour. So, I don't know. We'll see how we go. Dookie Sandwich, the detail on my Instagram is insane. Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it. I've been spending like the past sort of yearish, putting a lot of effort into trying to get better at painting. Hopefully that's paying off. This is basically like not far off his skin tone, really, right? Like it's very similar. But hopefully I'll be able to get this to read somewhat as a blondish kind of tone. I don't know, we'll see how we go. I'm not particularly confident in this this colour that I'm doing right now. But again, we'll see. Just kind of slapping paint on, pretty rough. So, again, the idea being we just want to get our sort of light in the right place, and then we'll work on making everything look proper, and we'll give it hair texture and all that kind of nonsense later. And then I'll probably try and do some kind of like dark greenish, like a really dark green tone on all this cloth. So I might try and mix up something for that now. Should I use a green color? I don't know. Try not to, if I can help it, have too many colors on the palette. So that way everything looks pretty harmonious. So we'll mix up a bit of a like sort of foresty green with our warm yellow and phthalo blue green shade. So I don't know how well you can see that. The light's hitting it a little bit, but you'll see it when I whack it on the model, I guess. And then I'll try and make it sort of cool down as it gets to sort of the edges around the sides. So he's kind of vignetted a little bit. Alrighty. How are we looking? Oh yeah, so going back to your question before, Sean. Oh, Jesus. The camera's just cocked it again. What is happening? What is happening to you? I'll try this one more time. Maybe it's a matter of like getting it on some other kind of setting. Oh, it's heating up too much. We might have to call it early because my camera seems to be getting a bit warm. Let's see if I can just change a couple quick things and come back. Again, this is what we call pretty professional quality streaming, I think. Hey guys. So just trying to work out a few little things. We'll see how we go. Alright. Sorry guys. Hopefully, even if my painting is alright, my technical skills are not great. Vignetted means like it gets darker around the edges, Sean. So like the idea is like the brightest, like if you have an image, you know, the brightest point is in the center and it gets darker as it goes to the corners. And then in visualizing a skill you can improve over time, I do not know, to be totally honest. Maybe. I'm sure there's, I don't know. I really don't know, to be totally honest. Dookie Sandwich, did you study arts or did you gain these skills purely based on passion? Yeah, I didn't study art at school at all. I just painted. I did Warhammer, like painting through high school, but I didn't do any art class. And then I worked for Games Workshop for a few years from 2019 until early last year. But yeah, no, never studied art or anything like that. I definitely don't think you need to paint miniatures. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of things in learning art that would be handy. But I think really, like, I'm sure there's plenty of artists out there that will tell you just if you like art, then you just do it and you can learn it. You don't have to go to school necessarily for it. So we'll try and get some little highlight in this green in the center. Feeling a bit paranoid about my camera. Hopefully I'll be able to work out something so we don't get interruptions next time, but I'm a bit worried if it keeps carking out, it'll just not make for a particularly good stream. Use the power of being a normal guy and having good mentors. Yeah, pretty much, Seamus. Good mentors, good inspiration. You look like a natural mixing colors and doing shading. It's just practice, right? Like it's like everything, right? It's a skill you can learn. I still don't think I'm particularly confident with like my color mixing, my color theory. It's all stuff that's a ongoing process to try and learn and get better at, I guess. Yeah. So I guess he'll look a little bit like a wood elf-ish. I'll probably tone this green down quite a lot by the end. I'm not too sure about it at the moment. Let me get a little more of these guys going. Alrighty, what do we think? Like I mentioned before, like I don't want to replicate the original artwork particularly when I'm doing this, but I do like the idea of like it's basically true colors, like skin tone and cloth, which the original artwork that this model's based on is, right? It's just basically literally black cloth and then the skin tone of the elf, and then I think some white on his hair, but I mean the skin in the original artwork is quite white. So I think I like that idea, even if I'm going to do different colors. So I'll try and have it, at least a little bit different. What are we thinking? Is that starting to look like something a little bit? Let's get a bit more white in the green. Not too bright, that's a little much. Alrighty. How are we looking? So I'm not, thinning the paint particularly much or anything like that. It's just literally pretty blocky, a little bit watery, but the idea is to have it pretty opaque at this stage just to cover up our primer. So and then we'll get a few sort of highlights in place. This will be pretty dark cloth, I think, by the end. So I'm not too worried about whether the lights look particularly convincing. They'll be fixed up later, Oh! Camera's working well. Not great. How many milliliters of water do I put in my wet palette? A lot. No, I don't think it matters that much, right? Live stream. Alright, I'm going to try one other thing to see if I can get this this guy going. I'm just going to have a quick look here. Sorry guys, again, this is pretty good content, right? Just me trying to make my camera work. Pretty good. Otherwise may rise to prioritize recording time. Would you like to change this setting? I would like to change it. Let's see how we go. Turn off audio. Let's turn this off. Alright. I'm going to hope this works. We'll give it maybe one or two more goes, and then if it stops, maybe we'll have to call it a short stream. If it stops again, we'll see. I'm having fun. Classic situation where like I do two streams where I don't do any painting, I just talk absolute nonsense, and then the one time I'm trying to actually be productive, everything goes absolutely wrong. Pretty good. We love to see it, don't we, folks? So just going to slap in some dark green on this back. Again, we're not trying to be particularly neat. Just get some color there on the model so that we have a roughly sketched in main view of the model with the undercoat covered up by the end of our session when our camera finally explodes and makes me stop streaming. We're still in focus. You guys can still see everything okay? Please let me know if anything's going wrong. So let's get a few edges. I'm not sure. What do we think? Maybe I'll do these like pauldron bits here on the left and right, like a slightly different color, and this like material down the center looks like it might be a slightly different color as well. But we'll see. Let's just get some more of our green going. Oh. So did anyone else in the chat back the Mindworks Kickstarter? They just charged me for shipping, I think last week maybe, so I'm hoping everything ships relatively soon with the Brom models. We'll see. I bought a ton from that Kickstarter. I'm really looking forward to it. Alright, hopefully we got most of our undercoat covered. What do we think? Looking pretty good. We'll get some more of this hair color. I'm not sure how this hair color is going to turn out. Sorry guys, I'm just going to change my reference photo a little bit. I've still got to get shipping straightened out to Sean. What did you get from it, Sean? Yeah, Mindworks Kickstarter, Seamus. It looks like they're getting close-ish to shipping. Who knows what that means? I mean, I think it's been delayed a little bit, but not insanely so, but a little bit. I ended up getting their paints. I'm keen to try those out. Oh, did your Spira ship back to Sydney, did it, Seamus? That's hilarious. It just doesn't want you to paint it. It doesn't want to be painted. It's gone on a dungeon adventure to another city. Because I took it. Can't remember. Star Witch, Titania, Dude on Horse, Witch Horn bust, Hair of the Moon bust. Yeah, nice. I think I got Witch Horn and I got Titania. I didn't get any of the other ones you mentioned though. Star Witch, too creepy. She's a bit of a weird model. JC stole it. How could you, JC? That makes sense. It's all you paint, isn't it, JC Spears? So it makes sense you would have to steal some more. I can't remember what I ordered from the Kickstarter. Probably won't get around to painting it either. Are you painting now, JC? Are you working on your big boy Space Marine? Fixing the base? Yeah, nice. Alright. I don't really know what to do for this sort of shadowy colour for this hair. I feel like if I darken it too much, it won't look very blonde anymore, you know? I don't really know what I'm doing with these colours. Let's see how they go. What do we think? Looking okay? I mean, the colours won't matter too much. I feel like I can fix them up later. Magenta, always magenta. Just waiting for the putty to dry on your base, JC. Are you happy with the changes that you've made, if you've made them? Get a sickly green or a purple, you weak dog. He's not going to have purple hair, though. He's going to have platinum blonde hair. Hopefully, by the end of this, it'll look something like that. I mean, who knows? I have absolutely no idea. I've never painted, like I mentioned before, this kind of hair color, so I'm not sure. I feel like I'll need to come back to it after this, but as long as we get something roughly convincing, I'll be happy. Well, roughly something, I guess. We drifting out of focus again a little bit. Sorry, guys. How's that? A little better? Hopefully. Alright, what's happening? Yeah, works better. Thanks for the tip. Just need to redo the eyes so they're not looking down. Nice. It looked pretty close to finish when I saw it today, JC. I think not a huge amount to go. Got to switch to the big screen. Be right back. No worries. It's just white gold NMM in the end anyway. Yeah, pretty much, Seamus. He looks so cranky. He does look cranky. That is hopefully the case. Should I give him slightly angrier eyebrows? I'll give it a go. Make him look nice and cranky. Maybe I'll model it after you, Clary. What do we think? Try and get a good cranky face to match yours on the screensaver. What do we think? All right? There we go. I've since realized you meant the model, not Alexi. Look at this. This is indeed high quality content, isn't it, guys? That's it. So I think I need to get some more extreme highlights in this hair just to make it look... It's really blonde, right? But it doesn't have a highlight. So I think I'll have to just go some really bright yellow in there. Or really bright ivory-ish kind of color, I guess, to try and get some kind of highlight. What do we reckon? Going sort of here. Yeah, that looks kind of right, doesn't it? Kind of, guys, yeah. What do we think? Here. A few little spots. Maybe a little bit on that cheekbone as well. What do we think? That looks alright, doesn't it? Not too bad. Kind of. I'm not super convinced by his hair, but like I said, you know, it'll get better. Satisfactory. okay for just like an academic bust, right? Like a practice guy, right? We'll just slap some of this kind of, it's almost like a woody brown color, isn't it? I should go back and watch. I was watching Eric Swinson's stream when he was painting his dark elf. I feel like I need to watch that. That'll just teach me how to paint. Isn't that how it works, right? You watch someone like him paint, and then at the end of the stream, you're as good. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Because he was painting like a really light-haired elf. So I might have to go... I mean, the purple skin, not my style, just because, you know, I don't want this guy to look too much like a, you know, purple skinned elf, right? I want him to look like a person. I like a normal style Lord of the Rings wood elf, I guess, is the idea. There we go. You know, I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling all right about it. I feel like it's starting to come together. Obviously, we'll neaten everything up when we get into the neatening up stage. But as long as we've got something looking like something, I think we'll feel all right. That better be how it works. If I can't belt out a decent bust after watching this, I'm going to be furious. Ask for a refund. Don't be putting ideas into his head, JC. Although, I don't know. Are you paying anything to watch this stream? I don't know. I guess so. You got a little badge. That means you're a subscriber. So yes, you are. Although I don't know if I can refund your subscription. Sorry, Shauno. You'll just have to deal with it. Oh. Hair is too saturated. Strip the whole model and sell your paint. Can't do that, sorry. Alright, how are we doing? Pretty good for time. Still think we got a good amount of time in us. Get some highlights just in here. They'll catch the light. Got a bit brighter, I think. Did you cover what reference I'm using? Yeah, I did, JC. How about I bring him up on screen again? Give me 2 seconds. Let's do some of our professional level streaming technical skills, shall we? 2 seconds, guys. Let's see. Photographicos. Alright, so I'll go through every reference picture I took for him, I guess, if you like. So, transition. Can we see the photo? Hopefully. There we go. So that is the main lighting reference for him, right? So, before he was undercoated, sketch in 1 model per stream. The only way you'll get near working through your backlog. Yeah, but they're not getting painted that way, Seamus. They're just getting sketched. They're not actually finished. Got attacked by my cat, so now I have to pause painting. You need a more cat-free painting environment, Joe. I think you need to work yourself out a bit. So I took a main photo, and then I took a left and right angle. So I've got something extra to work with. So, you know, dark side, light side. Hopefully we're looking something a little bit like that. Slightly underexposed photo. I find these like more underexposed pictures, they preserve your specular highlights a little bit. So we can see these little spots. You know, they'll tell us where to put some extreme highlights when we come back to refining everything a little bit later. Rome wasn't painted in a day, Seamus, yes. She gets separation anxiety if I close the door. Fair enough. You got to keep the cat happy while painting. You don't want him to vindictively knock over all your Warhammer or all your display models later. So yeah, having a slightly underexposed photo, I feel like you'll get a nice look at the specular highlights later when you need to look at them. A photo here after I primed it, so I just used Chaos Black GW spray to prime him. I usually like to take an extra reference photo with the right lighting with the black primer because it's way more sort of satin. It's almost a little bit glossy, and that'll again just give you another reference for where to place like some of your more extreme highlights. Obviously, like on the model, we're not going to like look at the middle of his forehead. It goes from white to black because obviously it's a black paint. So we're not going to do anything like that. But it can be nice to look at it to just look like, if I'm coming back to where to put like some more extreme highlights. And also if you've got anything metal, right? I think he's got like, this is a metal ring here. And he has some other little metal spots like an earring. I don't know if you guys can see just here. And so the reference photo with Chaos Black is actually like super good for helping place your lighting for non-metallic metal, I think. Yeah. So that's the face there. What do we think? Looking okay? And then that's what I'm sort of going for, like as the skin tone colors. Now, I've made mine a bit brighter. This is like a warm lighting indoors. And so because he's indoors, he's not being lit super harshly. He doesn't have cast shadows. He's kind of got more ambient light. I don't know what the term for, regular shadows are and the more ambient lighting, but this is sort of what I'm aiming for. And you can kind of see like he has a sort of like blackish greenish shirt. I just used the color picker tool to like pick up a little light to dark of the skin tones that are on his face. But that is the rough idea, Legolas's dad. Although to be honest, this is a slightly younger looking elf. So maybe he'd be more better as just like a Legolas reference. But he doesn't look like Legolas. Like this elf looks way more angry than Legolas, right? But his dad is like an asshole. So that's what I wanted to use. And so obviously I can't leave it up on the stream, but I'm basically, the whole time I'm painting, I've got this this photo like up in front of me, one of these photos up in front of me, so I can keep looking at them. Usually, for the most part, I'm working off this because we've got a more matte surface, no color, so it's in grayscale, so you can kind of see where the shadow and light is a little easier. This is lit with the phone it's the torch from my phone on a tripod, just shining into his head. And then I just turned off all the lights in the house, or most of the lights in the house. Don't let old man River see this. Technology scares him. Well, he won't see this in general because he won't watch it because technology scares him. He doesn't know how to load Twitch. He's probably just reading a newspaper or something, listening to the radio, listening to the wireless, So yeah, that is the idea of the reference. I'll work out the cloth a little later, but for now, that is how we are working. Hopefully that is helpful to you guys. Certainly helpful to me. I find it, I've mentioned before, but I find it actually really difficult to paint without some kind of reference going in front of me. I was, like I mentioned before, I was watching Eric Swinson's stream, and like he's just able to like sort of visualize all these volumes and put the light and dark where it needs to be without needing to take like 50 photos to hold his hand through the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, man, that's pretty good stuff. He said he was going into town to see the talkies on the big screen. Exactly. All right, so we're kind of getting to a point where I feel like I'll probably want to leave him for the night, because he's made a good start, I think. I don't really want to go into refining anything just yet. I'll do that in another session and work a bit more carefully. And usually what I do now, like after I've sort of sketched everything in, is I'll start looking at like specific spots. Usually I'll start with the face. Maybe what I'll do before I close anything up is I'll get the eyes in there a little bit. So a little bit of grey, a little bit, and I'll try and block them in and just get them pointing in the right direction. I might have to not worry too much about putting myself on camera at this stage, guys, to get these on there. Debstar, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hopefully the people who are watching this that don't know me in real life are actually getting some benefit out of this. So to paint his eyes, I'm painting him black first, just so I'll try and preserve a little bit of the black outline of the eyes when I go to do him. He's got really little eyes, to be honest. It's actually super annoying. They're smaller than I thought, now that I'm actually having a good close look at him. I don't know, do you guys think this is the case? But it seems to be the case that like a lot of busts and miniatures of like women, female models, whatever you want to call it, women, tend to be bigger. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Even pitch black. I mean, they do look pretty creepy black, don't they? But I don't want to do that. Sorry. I actually really enjoy painting eyes. Like, I really enjoy when you get them to look good. Like, I really like it. Paint him with a glowing effect. Far easier. Why? He's just like a normal guy. This is a normal guy. Elf. I don't need to give him some fancy glowing eyes. Sorry, I'll find it hard to talk while I'm doing his little balls in there. Make him lava. No. Stop giving me terrible ideas, guys. Come on. Alrighty. I think we got the white of that mostly in place-ish. I don't know. Maybe he's the black line is probably a bit intense, but I can fix that later. They're very small. Like, usually on the bust, the eyes are pretty accessible and easy to paint, but this one's a bit tougher, I feel. We'll get a bit of red in the corners of his eyes. Give him a wizard DJ eyes. And sculpt him a bowler's hat. What are you talking about, mate? Yeah, I was having a look at like some of like the female models I've got, and yeah, they always tend to have quite big eyes. But I like that. I like it when a model has really big eyes, because I really like to try and make him a feature. I was painting that, if anyone's seen the Akalare goblin with the gigantic yellow eyes, I thought that was a really fun model. I have to go back and finish that at some stage. Ooh, this looks not good, does it? This looks crazy. What's going on? These eyelids. A little bit strange. Don't know about this, guys. I don't know. That's right. We can kind of fix it up later. So look, actually, to be honest, when I'm looking at my reference, his eyelids are in shadow as well. So I'm probably painting him a bit too bright at the moment. We'll see how we go. See how we go. Alright. There we go. So white to the eyes in place. I mean, look, if you're really trying to make the model look really good, ideally you're going to shade the eyeball, the white to the eyes, better than what I'm going to do here. But I think this is just going to be a little quick and fun not spend way too much time and effort on him kind of model. Debstar, thanks for the warm welcome. My brother paints little models from Warhammer. Cool! I mean, that's how a lot of us who paint these kinds of like display models, whether you're just painting them to paint them, start with Warhammer. It's certainly how I started painting. I've only been doing these kinds of display, like models just for display, for maybe 13 months or so. So yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Also, hello fellow Aussie. Hello fellow Aussie. Are you a painter, Debstar? Dom's minis I'm off. Thanks for streaming, dude. No worries, man. Thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it. People tuning in to think this is actually worth watching. So we want to have him looking a little bit off to the side. Like I mentioned, we're going to try and have him looking sort of off to his right. So I'll try and work it out. No, I'm not a painter. I'm a gamer. Fair enough. Fair enough. I am kind of the opposite. I'm not much of a gamer, but I am a painter. I don't really play many games. I've of the two of us, my partner Claire, she plays way more games than I do. I feel like whenever I'm like in the mood to play a game, I kind of end up just painting instead. So I'm not going to paint his eye color at the moment. I'm just going to try and get the what is it called? Iris? Black and facing the right direction. I'm not going to give it color yet because I'm not really sure what color I'll paint his eyes. What color would I paint his eyes? I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back to it later. So I've gone a bit over the eyelid, as you can see there. It looks a bit janky, but that's all right. That's a pretty easy fix. We'll go in here with our skin tone, tidy it up a bit. All right, can we see that? That looks all right, doesn't it? I think so. He looks a bit, he's almost looking a little, I don't know, maybe sad now instead of cranky. It's all right, we'll crank him up a bit later. He's got this little strand of hair over his eye like a proper, I don't know, proper emo guy. There we go. Alright. Roughly facing in the right direction. I'll see if I can get him on camera for you to see. What do we reckon? Can you guys see that particularly well? I'm not sure if you can. There. Kind of roughly facing off to the side a little bit. I'm not too sure they're facing quite the same direction. But when I go to paint the iris color, I will fix them up. I really just want them in as a guide. Like everything, the idea of doing the sketch on the model where we're just placing our light and darks in the right spot and getting our color notes in there is really just to give us a guide for when we actually go to refine the model and paint it properly. So yeah, and I always find like no matter how, like this guy's got small eyes, he's a bit annoying, but no matter how well I place the eyes in, like, facing the right directions and all that kind of stuff. When you go to paint the color, it's a whole, like you're just basically restarting, trying to get them looking in the same direction again. It's always tough. Eyes emoji. Indeed. Clary? Indeed. So I'm going to try to get a little more color on his face. We're getting to a point now where I think I'm going to get ready to call it for the night, to be honest. But I'll try and get a little more a few more notes of color on his face. It's looking a little bit colorless, I think. What we're also probably going to do is get like We'll probably have to at some stage do like some kind of sort of bounce light, like a little bit of a highlight here in his jawbone. So I'm going to just try and get that going now. Basically the idea is our light's coming in from here, it's hitting this bit of hair, and then it'll bounce back onto his chin, so there'll be a little bit of a highlight in here on this jawline, and it'll also help define his jawline. I'll just have to be careful because right now the way I've painted it, it kind of is going to make his face look a bit wider than it probably is. But again, this is all stuff we can fix up. But we want to get it, you know, roughly in the right sort of spots by the time we finish our sketch. And then he's got like quite a downturned mouth, doesn't he? Jesus. Looks very upset. What do we think? I think I'm drifting off camera again. Let me know if I drift too far off camera. I'm going to watch this back and it's going to be like all over the joint. Hopefully it's been watchable. I feel like if I left the camera on autofocus, it would just be going all over the place. Luckily the palette camera has stayed in focus now this time. Get a bit more going on his chin. I feel like we got a bit out of whack. It looks a bit wrong, doesn't it? So let's try and, you know, color a little more correct. Join these up. I feel like when I watch like other people who sort of know what they're doing sketch, I feel like I can really see the inadequacies of my own sketching. Paint sketching. Jared heading off. Enjoy the rest of the stream, everybody. Good night. Thanks for joining, Jared. Make sure you join in next time if you want to. But thanks for joining. It was good to see you today as well at the meetup. So what are we thinking? The shadow's a little bit intense from the hair. Might have moved past the sketching phase now. I guess so, right? I mean, it's still looking pretty sketchy. But we're going to, yeah, I mean, you're right, Joe. It's not really sketching the same way, is it? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you do something and then it's like, ooh, I've just spent 5 minutes going backwards on the painting. And then you got to sort of recalibrate and... But, you know, I guess that's experience, right? The more you do it, the better you get at it all, and you'll hopefully make fewer mistakes and all that kind of stuff. He can still sketch more on the green and metal, Joe. He can't help himself. Yeah, to me this looks more than what I consider a sketch, on camera at least. I'd enter it into crimson. I don't think... I think if you could see it, maybe you'd disagree, Shauno. Well, you wouldn't be talking such nonsense. I can see, yeah, I guess like I'm still doing now what I would be considered sketching. I'll start like what I tend to do once I've got most things in place is I'll start like choosing individual parts of the model and getting them pretty close to the finish line, you know. Alright, I think we'll probably... I'll keep going for a bit longer. I'm having fun. I want to get him looking a little better before I call it for the night. Just sketch up the value and glaze down with red. That is some solid advice for painting red, isn't it, Seamus? What more could you need to do? Nothing. Trying to have a nice look at him. He does look pretty good on camera. I think he looks alright in person as well, to be honest. But what I will have to do when I'm going to like end stage refining will be to get the colors actually worked out properly, like rather than just this like super rough light to dark palette that I've got, which is not, I think, perfect. It's alright, but what am I doing? Sorry. I feel like I'm just making a mess of the this sort of bridge of his, I don't know, what do you call this bit? The top of his cheek under his eye. I don't know if that has some kind of name. It all logically makes sense in practice, however. Same in that I haven't really seen more than 5 examples maybe of red NMM that looked red. I think you're right, but I will also say, Seamus, like red NMM, yeah, it's rare that people make it actually look like metal. But I think that's probably the case with most NMM, to be honest. I think like us knowing how to, like when you get into looking at lots of miniature painting, like you kind of train yourself for what to look for in NMM a little bit. To be totally honest, if you start stippling, you definitely can't call it a sketch. I suppose you're probably right about that. Yeah, but I'm not happy with how it's looking yet. So I like to call that a sketch when I'm not happy, and then when I'm happy, that's painting. Let's do a bit of a glaze, a little filter, I guess, of skin tone over pretty much all of him, and then we'll bring back our highlights in a sec. Punch him up again. He's looking quite pale, obviously. He's a pale guy. So I'm just taking my sort of like mid-tony. You can see where I am on the palette, right? And just getting it nice and thin. And I'm just getting some of those mid-tones back, and I'll then highlight up again. That's what we call sketching. Am I right, guys? Red NMM seems to operate closer to black NMM. It has such a small window before it is a different color. Yes. Black NMM is one of those ones where, like, you got to be really... I mean, all NMM, you got to be very conscious of the environment. But, like the environment that you're placing the model in. But black, obviously, like, silver, you've got to be putting a lot of the environment into it, I guess, hey? Quite a wide face. I've probably here, up the top of his cheek, I've probably made this too bright, so I'll have to turn that back. Doesn't quite look right. Maybe like down, how are we looking? Like sort of down here. Maybe even more like there we go. That's a little better. get some of this orange to denote this kind of triangle of light on his cheek. Okay, and we just want some color where our light changes to shadow. I'm probably overdoing the saturation on this orange. It probably looks very gaudy, maybe a bit insane on the camera, but you know, it'll look alright by the end, hopefully. No paint splodging tonight. What does that mean? No splodging. Alright, so our filter's kind of, I'll try and show you guys without it being overexposed. Kind of gotten rid of a bit too much of our highlights, so we'll have to go back and bring him back a little bit. Sort of here on his eyebrows. Might need to find a way to move my palette next time. I think it's in an awkward spot. Not where I normally put it. Normally I actually have my model like right above the palette when I'm painting. It's like right underneath the model. And so if I drop it, it just falls in the paint. So to be honest, there's probably something to be said about not having it directly underneath the model. That's what you do, Vils? Fair enough. I mean, how often are you painting? Not that often, surely. Alright. Jeez, I keep going to move the palette, but then thinking, oh no, I've got to keep it where it's on camera. I hope you guys all appreciate the pains I'm going through right now to give you guys a look at the palette. So we're just bringing back the highlight in his forehead. Might be a bit hard to see because I think the camera is sort of blowing it out a little bit. Too late to ask what colors you use to make your skin tone. Absolutely not, Sean. Did you miss the start when I set up the palette? I'll go through it again in a sec for you. Well, this is trying to get me to run an ad. Get out of here. I'll see if I can stop it for a little while. Yeah, too late in the party. No worries. I'll bring him up in just a second. Try and... Okay, no worries. Gonna just try and get a little nice highlight line here, bridge of his nose. Dan, what do we think? Is this particularly visible? Can you guys see what I'm doing right now? Hopefully. Here on his lip. I'll have to add some color back into his lip in a little while. And on the top of his brow here. I've probably gone a little bit bright in some of these spots. Oh, that's way too dark. Not too bad, not too bad. The lights are back in the right spot, I think. What do we reckon? Strong? Looks like a face, kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. Let's get a little bit of, just a little bit of shading on this platinum blonde kind of color. I need to actually get a little we've got about 7 minutes until Twitch makes me run an ad. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I'll end it there or if I'll take a break and then come back and keep going. We'll see how we feel in 5-10 minutes. It's been a pretty long day, so I wouldn't mind calling it and having a rest. How long have we been going for? 2 hours? Oh, Jesus. Time flies, guys, when we're having fun. Doesn't it? I was late to the party, yes. No worries, man. Well, as I've mentioned in the stream up until this point, I'll definitely always do this time slot. Well, always, you know. I'll aim to do the 8 o'clock Sunday night, and I'll start trying to add a few more in when I can through the week. But I feel like committing to one day is a good start for me. Alright, what do we think? Is that a good start? You better host someone or Inferno will haunt my dreams, exactly. What do we reckon? Is that zoomed in? Am I zoomed in or am I zoomed out? No, let's stay zoomed in. Can we see his eyes okay? Ooh, looks a bit crazy. This is not bad. I think he looks alright. It's a good start. So obviously, you know, we still got plenty of refining and blending and stippling and all these other bullshit to do. Got a bail. Good stream, mate. Thank you for tuning in, JC. I will. I'm sure I'll talk to you at some stage. Thanks for joining in, man. Good to see you. Thanks for hosting us today at the meet. Yes, colours for Sean, obviously. So, Seano, if you want to have a look at the palette, so going around from the bottom, we got our darkest to our lightest. So we got scale 75 black. Then we've got burnt umber and raw umber. So burnt umber at the bottom, raw umber at the top from Joe Sonia. Then we got Chimera Violet. Up here we've got some neutral grey number 5. Liquitex grey. And then we've got our phthalo blue, green shade and magenta here. Haven't used any of the magenta. I just like having it on the palette. When you get to the refining stage of the face, I feel like you're just using little like dots of super powerful magenta is always fun. Tullamarine red. Yeah. The main sort of skin tone is this signature blend, Danilo Cartacci Caucasian skin. So it's not really on the palette, like you can see it up here, but this is all mixed, right? So we then got cold and warm yellow from Chimera and white. These guys. Yeah. Cold, warm, white. And then we got nothing else. That's everything. So, like, what I'd like to do is take a big blob of this Cartacci skin tone, and I just mix it usually with a little bit of the warm yellow from Chimera, and that'll get me the like a nice mid-ish tone. How about I'll bring up our we'll get rid of the palette. I don't know how to bring up the palette and the reference photo, so let's not worry about it. But basically the idea is I'll take that Cartacci Caucasian skin tone, mix it up with some warm yellow and a bunch of white, and then that's how I've made these. So this is all just the skin tone, the warm yellow, a little bit of warm yellow, not too much, and some white. It already has warm yellow in it, to be honest. That's how the color is made. But I just like to add a bit more because we want him to look like he's being lit by the sun. Hopefully that'll come across more when we finish painting. And then I've just made like a bunch of mixes, adding more and more white as we get to the right. And then here we're just adding some shadow colors. So the shadows are kind of mixed up with some of the browns, some red. Up here we've just mixed in some red, to the skin tone here. We've mixed in some of the shadow colors. We've got some orange. It's all mixed, but it's all kind of coming out of the Chimera colors. I'm certainly like looking forward to trying to do some more painting just with pots of colors without having to do a crazy amount of mixing. But I feel like I'm learning a lot by doing everything this way. I feel like I'm learning at least by doing it like that. You know, it gives me a lot. This is neutral grey. What could come after neutral grey number 4? I don't know. Neutral grey number 3, and then 2 and 1. Yeah. So the idea is like the reason I like having the grey actually is like it's not always the case, but I like to kind of aim to have my shadows start at a point that's darker than the neutral grey 5, and then my light side stuff be kind of from the neutral grey and above, right? It's kind of hard to see, but I guess if you took a photo of the palette and switched it into black and white, hopefully you would get this color and this color be relatively similar in the value scale. Like in the, they would look basically the same if they were just both black and white. That's the rough idea, I guess. Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. I certainly like most of the figures that I've painted over the past sort of 6 to 9 months have all been this same mix with that Cartacci skin tone, but just with different other colors mixed in. I do like it. I mean, honestly, if you talk to someone like Jordan, who would just say, like, why don't you just mix up that skin tone in the first place? And, that's a good point. There's no reason why you couldn't. It's literally just to save time from mixing up a skin tone on its own. I'm just going to whack a couple little highlights on this cloth, and then I think I'm going to call it. And we'll say, hey, what a good stream, won't we, guys? What I will probably do is I will try to, if anyone's interested in painting this model, have this model be painted entirely on the stream. So I'll try to not really paint it at all off stream. And so if you want to watch along, you can watch along and see how the whole thing's done start to finish, or how I do the whole thing start to finish. I'm sure might be other guides on this model out there. I don't really know, to be totally honest. Hey, what a good stream. I know, right? Thanks, Clary. If anyone is looking for something to do, what you could do is look at that name there, Claire Cowder, and go to Amazon and type it in and buy one of the books that comes up under that name. Sounds like a great idea. Shilling hard. That's right. Paid shill. Is the Twitch way. Exactly. Alright, guys. I think we're going to call it there. I should raid someone. That's what Allison's telling me to do. So how about we do that? Let's see if I can work out how to do that this time. Remember last time it was a disaster. Who's going? Who's painting on Twitch right now? And I'll see if I can work out how to raid them. Alrighty. Who we got going? Brushmaster. How about we raid Brushmaster, a master of the brush. He's Australian, I'm pretty sure. Let's give it a go. What do we do? Thanks for joining in as well. Let's put our guy on camera again. So I think a pretty good finish, like a pretty good, opening sketch. Looking all right, a nice start, I think. All right, let's do it. What did we do? Jonas, Michael B, thank you so much for the follow. You're coming in right as I'm I'm about to stop, but thanks for following. All right, let's do it. Let's rate it up. Thanks for for jumping on, Jonas. But you've come at the end, so we're raiding someone. We're moving on. But thanks for joining. I will be streaming more every night around this time-ish. I'll be streaming every night. Not every night, every Sunday night. Yeah, I guess you're in Europe, aren't you? So wouldn't be particularly good, would it? All right. We're gonna raid Brushmaster. You guys can keep watching some painting. Electrail, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. Again, we're about to call it, but thanks for the follow anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. I will see you all again very, very soon. Thank you very much. Let's do it.